Section 17 of the Second Jungle Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Second Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. Section 17. Quiquern. The people of the eastern ice, they are melting like the snow. They beg for coffee and sugar. They go where the white men go. The people of the western ice, they learn to steal and fight. They sell their furs to the trading post. They sell their souls to the white. The people of the southern ice, they trade with the whalers' crew. Their women have many ribbons, but their tents are torn and few. But the people of the elder ice, beyond the white man's ken, their spears are made of the narwhal horn, and they are the last of the men. Translation. He has opened his eyes. Look. Put him in the skin again. He will be a strong dog. On the 4th month we will name him. For whom? Said Amarak. Kadlu's eyes rolled round the skin-lined snow-house till it fell on 14-year-old Kotuku, sitting on the sleeping bench making a button out of walrus ivory. Name him for me, said Kotuku with a grin. I shall need him one day. Kadlu grinned back till his eyes were almost buried in the fat of his flat cheeks, and nodded to Amarak, while the puppy's fierce mother whined to see her baby wriggling far out of reach in the little sealskin pouch hung above the warmth of the blubber lamp. Kotuku went on with his carving, and Kadlu threw a rolled bundle of leather dog harnesses into a tiny little room that opened from one side of the house, slipped off his heavy deerskin hunting suit, put it in a whalebone net that hung over another lamp, and dropped down on the sleeping bench to whittle at a piece of frozen seal meat till Amarak, his wife, should bring the regular dinner of boiled meat and blood soup. He had been out since early dawn at the seal holes, 8 miles away, and had come home with 3 big seal. Halfway down the long, low snow passage or tunnel that led to the inner door of the house, you could hear snapping and yelpings as the dogs of his sleigh team, released from the day's work, scuffled for warm places. When the yelpings grew too loud, Kotuku lazily rolled off the sleeping bench and picked up a whip with an 18-inch handle of springy whalebone and 25 feet of heavy plaited thong. He dived into the passage, where it sounded as though all the dogs were eating him alive, but that was no more than their regular grace before meals. When he crawled out at the far end, half a dozen furry heads followed him with their eyes as he went to a sort of gallows of whale jaw bones, from which the dog's meat was hung, split off the frozen stuff in big lumps with a broad-headed spear, and stood, his whip in one hand and the meat in the other. Each beast was called by name, the weakest first, and woe betide any dog that moved out of his turn, for the tapering lash would shoot out like thonged lightning and flick away an inch or so of hair and hide. Each beast growled, snapped, choked once over his portion, and hurried back to the protection of the passage, while the boys stood upon the snow under the blazing northern light and dealt out justice. The last to be served was the big black leader of the team, who kept order when the dogs were harnessed, and to him Kotuku gave a double allowance of meat as well as an extra crack of the whip. "Ah," said Kotuku, coiling up the lash, "I have a little one over the lamp that will make a great many howlings. Sabok, get in." He crawled back over the huddled dogs, dusted the dry snow from his furs with the whalebone beater that Amarak kept by the door, tapped the skin-lined roof of the house to shake off any icicles that might have fallen from the dome of snow above, and curled up on the bench. The dogs in the passage snored and whined in their sleep. The baby boy in Amarak's deep fur hood kicked and choked and gurgled, and the mother of the newly named puppy lay at Kotuku's side, her eyes fixed on the bundle of sealskin, warm and safe above the broad yellow flame of the lamp. And all this happened far away to the north, beyond Labrador, beyond Hudson Strait, where the great tides heave the ice about, north of Melville Peninsula, north even of the narrow Fury and Hecla Straits, on the north shore of Baffin Land, where Bartlett's Island stands above the ice of Lancaster Sound like a pudding bowl wrong side up. North of Lancaster Sound there is little we know anything about, except North Devon and Ellesmere Land, but even there live a few scattered people, next door, as it were, to the very pole. Kadlu was an Inuit, what you call an Eskimo, and his tribe, some 30 persons in all, belonged to the Tananirmiut, the country lying at the back of something. In the maps that desolate coast is written Navy Board Inlet, but the Inuit name is best, because the country lies at the very back of everything in the world. For 9 months of the year there is only ice and snow, and gale after gale, with a cold that no one can realize who has never seen a thermometer even at 0. For 6 months of those 9 it is dark, and that is what makes it so horrible. In the 3 months of summer it only freezes every other day and every night, and then the snow begins to weep off on the southerly slopes, and a few ground willows put out their woolly buds, a tiny scone crop or so makes believe to blossom, beaches of fine gravel and rounded stones run down to the open sea, and polished boulders and streaked rocks lift up above the granulated snow. But all that is gone in a few weeks, and the wild winter locks down again on the land, while at sea the ice tears up and down in the offing, jamming and ramming and splitting and hitting and pounding and grounding, till it all freezes together, 10 feet thick, from the land outward to deep water. In the winter Kadlu would follow the seal to the edge of this land ice, and spear them as they came up to breathe at their blowholes. The seal must have open water to live and catch fish in, and in the deep of winter the ice would sometimes run 80 miles without a break from the nearest shore. In the spring he and his people retreated from the floes to the rocky mainland, where they put up tents of skins and snared the sea birds or speared the young seal basking on the beaches. Later they would go south into Baffin Land after the reindeer, and to get their year's store of salmon from the hundreds of streams and lakes of the interior, coming back north in September or October for the musk ox hunting and the regular winter sealery. This travelling was done with dog sleighs, 20 and 30 miles a day, or sometimes down the coast in big skin women boats, when the dogs and the babies lay among the feet of the rowers, and the women sang songs as they glided from cape to cape over the glassy cold waters. All the luxuries that the Tananirmiut knew came from the south: driftwood for sleigh runners, rod iron for harpoon tips, steel knives, tin kettles that cooked food much better than the old soapstone affairs, flint and steel, and even matches, as well as the coloured ribbon for the women's hair, little cheap mirrors, and red cloth for the edgings of deerskin dress jackets. Kadlu traded the rich, creamy, twisted narwhal horn and muskox teeth, these are just as valuable as pearls, to the southern Inuit, and they in turn traded with the whalers and the missionary posts of Exeter and Cumberland Sounds, and so the chain went on, till a kettle picked up by a ship's cook in the Bendy Bazaar might end its days over a blubber lamp somewhere on the cool side of the Arctic Circle. Kadlu, being a good hunter, was rich in iron harpoons, snow knives, bird darts, and all the other things that make life easy up there in the great cold, and he was the head of his tribe, or, as they say, the man who knows all about it by practice. This did not give him any authority, except now and then he could advise his friends to change their hunting grounds, but Kotuko used it to domineer a little, in the lazy, fat Inuit fashion, over the other boys when they came out at night to play ball in the moonlight or to sing the child's song to the aurora borealis. But at 14 an Inuit feels himself a man, and Kotuko was tired of making